Slow down, Thomas, Toby cried. There's something ahead on your tracks. But Thomas wasn't listening. He was sure the end of the rainbow was just around the corner. Then there was trouble. Thomas clipped the telegraph pole and they all came off the tracks. Luckily, no one was hurt. Cinders and ashes, Thomas cried. Thomas was stuck.
I'll never see my lucky trucks again, he sighed. But when he puffed into the frosty forest, there was Edward with Henry's lucky trucks. I found you, Henry chuffed excitedly. But he puffed too quickly. His wheels slid on the icy tracks. And he biffed right into his lucky trucks. Oh no, I've broken my lucky trucks, groaned Henry. Henry didn't know what to do. I'm not going anywhere without my lucky trucks, huffed Henry. But they're broken, chuffed Edward. Suddenly, Neville saw a barrier on the track. He slammed on his brakes. But it was too late. Neville was in terrible trouble. He was on the broken end of the bridge.
Meanwhile, Scarloey was making his way up to the quarry. Then he saw Boulder. Help! Boulder was catching up fast. We must warn the yards, shouted Scarloey. Yes, but how? Called Rusty.
Never mind that, replied Thomas. I've something important to say. Do you realize it's a whole year since Mrs. Kindly saved us from a nasty accident? You remember when she was ill in bed and... Yes, of course, interrupted Edward. You told us how she waved her red dressing gown out of her window to warn you about a landslide ahead. And you and Toby gave her presents, Percy joined in. And the Fat Controller sent her to Bournemouth to get better.
When he approached the chocolate factory, his driver applied the brakes, but Percy's wheels just skidded on the oily rails. Oh no! Hooted Percy. Yuck! He groaned. I've never been this dirty. He was covered from funnel to firebox in sticky, gooey chocolate.
Hooray! I've made it! Here I come with the last special delivery! Thomas knew he had to slow down now, but he couldn't. Thomas's brakes had stopped working altogether. Fizzling fireboxes, what can I do? With a clang and a crash, Thomas clanked off the rails. His flatbed bashed his buffers with a bump. The last of the special blocks fell from his flatbed into the water. Cinders and ashes. I've lost some of the special blocks.
Every wise engine knows that you cannot trust trucks. Go on, they yelled, and bumped Percy's driver and fireman off the footplate. Oh, said Percy, sliding past the board. Percy was frantic. That's enough. Percy was sunk.
And applied the brakes. Poor Thomas stood dazed and surprised in a muddy pond as a toad eyed him suspiciously.
Bust my buffers, muttered Thomas.
Peter Sam trundled into the wharf. Thomas got ready with his whistle. The little engines got ready too. Beep! Peter Sam shot forward. He bashed his flatbed so hard they burst through the buffers, smashed through the oil drums stacked on the wharf, and splashed into the canal. Oh, my, cried the little engines. Cinders and ashes, cried Thomas.